Hey guys, welcome back to the Carla and Crappy show. I'm Crappy. That's Carla down there. Say hi, Carla.
Hello.
I was all set to take the weekend off because Ohio State has a bye week. And then Carla reminded me that doesn't necessarily mean that college football stops. So we have some games to pick. And we're going to jump right in, starting as we usually do with the Big Ten. Carla, your team, the Penn State Nittany Lions, are visiting Nebraska. How's that one going to go?
Gosh, this is a good football game.
Yeah.
There's a lot on the line in this game, especially for Nebraska, who's still essentially, I mean, they're still battling for the potential division title to go to the Big Ten title game. Nebraska looked pretty awesome last week, rallying behind Taylor Martinez late to beat Michigan State. And we finally, after the week caused by your Buckeyes at Beaver Stadium, Penn State got back on track.
Yes.
And they've been dominating, and McGloin has looked good, and then they looked really awful during the Ohio State game, and they looked awesome last week. So this is gonna be probably one of the best games of the week, and it's kind of flying under the radar, and I'm not really sure why. It might be because Penn State's not playing for anything, but I'm gonna pick with my heart in this one. I'm gonna go Penn State strictly because of my rooting loyalties. But this is gonna be one darn good football game coming down to the end late.
Okay. I think that's a good pick, and I'm not necessarily picking with my heart when either one of these teams are involved. And Nebraska's offense is very similar to Ohio State's, and I think could over the course of the whole game pose similar problems for Penn State's defense. So I think Nebraska is going to score. The question I have about the Huskers is their defense. They played pretty well last weekend, although Michigan State's offense hasn't been what it should be. I think Penn State will be able to score in this game, and if Matt McGloin is able to avoid the kind of loss of focus he seemed to suffer against Ohio State, and play like he has for virtually the rest of the season, I think Penn State can win this game on the road. That'll be a fun one to watch. Next up, we're going to stay in the Big Ten, and we're going to go to the Big Hole in Ann Arbor, where Northwestern makes a visit. What do you see with Northwestern and Michigan?
Just like Nebraska is fighting for a spot, I mean, Michigan's in that same division playoff race. So Michigan, I know I'm ahead of myself. We got another 2 years before we get the playoff. But anyhow, Michigan needs this game. Period. I mean, if they don't win this game, they're essentially eliminated from any chance of playing in the Big Ten title game. And from what I've read, it seems like Denard's going to be back this week. He seems to have been practicing pretty regularly. Reports have said that he has all functionality again after the nerve injury that he had, which was pretty significant. I don't think people if you can't feel your hand, you can't throw a football. So.
Can he throw the football when he can feel his hand?
We can argue that point until we're both blue in the face. But
we'll pick that one up again in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Gee, I wonder when that's going to be. But the key to this game is pretty simple. Northwestern likes to run the ball, and if Michigan can stop the run, they win this game. That's all there is to it, because Michigan's passing defense has been really good. Northwestern doesn't really have a passing game. Right. So if you can stop the Northwestern run, Michigan wins. And I'm going to say at home, Michigan wins.
Okay. I'm actually a little bit thankful that Northwestern isn't on Ohio State's schedule this year. That's one of the offenses you don't see it very often. It makes you crazy when you do. Penn State fans know about that after playing OU in the opening game of the season. Yeah. If this game were not in Ann Arbor, I would really think hard about picking the Wildcats. You don't know about Michigan's quarterback. It does seem like Denard's going to be ready to play on Saturday, although Coach Flintstone isn't really giving up any solid information about how that's going to go. because this game is a home game for Michigan, and because they are in the position that they're in. As you mentioned, this is a must-win for them. I think Michigan will take this game at home against Northwestern. Third up, we have your adopted hometown team striving. How's that?
I like it.
For bowl eligibility when they play at Mississippi. How's that one going to go?
Vandy Ole Miss. Whoever wins this game gets the 6 wins. So essentially, this game is a battle for bowl eligibility, which would be pretty it's pretty consequential for both teams actually, considering their recent records. Vandy last week shut out Kentucky. I know that doesn't seem like much because, well, it's Kentucky. I get that. But it was the first SEC shutout for the Commodores since, let me get this straight, 1968. For those of you counting at home.
Really?
Yes.
I was 2.
Well,
and I remember it well, actually. That was a pretty big deal in Columbus.
Yes, yeah, I'm sure. 44 years ago, was the last time that Vandy shut out an SEC opponent. Ole Miss is coming into this game, playing the game at home, but they just got trounced by Georgia like everybody does last week. So, yes, they're going to have a lot to play for. But I see the key in this game is the Vandy defense. The Vandy defense is actually having one heck of a year. They've only allowed a little over 17 points a game. And in the SEC, considering who they've played so far, that's pretty impressive. Yep. So I'm going to say that the Commodores, my hometown Doors, are actually going to win this game, and they're going bowling. And it would be really, really fun if it was the Music City Bowl. Just saying.
Ooh. Oh, would you go?
I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if I don't remember the bowl allegiances, but gosh, if that game was in Nashville, it would be a riot. It really would. Would
you go?
Possibly, yeah. Tickets are easy to get. So if you're looking for a bowl game, come to Nashville for the Music City Bowl. It's a lot of fun.
Okay. I know nothing about this game. I'm going to be honest. I have been aware. However, I did read a couple things earlier in the day about Vanderbilt's no-name defense, and the numbers really are impressive. I think that given that strength, even playing a game on the road, in a game that both teams win, Mississippi has had a slightly rougher time of it this season. I think that's a winnable game for Vanderbilt, and I'm going to go ahead and pick them. I'm going to go ahead and pick them to win at Mississippi.
Anchor down. Sorry,
what is that?
Anchor down, Commodores.
Okay,
anchor down. That's the defensive thing. Whoever came up with that for a marketing strategy was not thinking when it was Vanderbilt, because it's just been spun in so many awful directions down here. But you know what? This week, anchor down.
Okay. Next up, we have Texas A&M on its inaugural trip around the Southeastern Conference. They get to visit Alabama. Go ahead.
Actually, I see a little bit more interest in this game than probably most do. Everybody saw A.J. McCarron's emotions after beating LSU last week, and yes, that was a huge win. But gosh, the Texas A&M offense is fun. Johnny Manziel. Talk about coming out of nowhere. I mean, seriously, he just kind of sprung out on the scene, and that offense is a lot of fun to watch. Alabama coming off of that emotional win, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Alabama should be on upset watch early in this game.
Yeah.
If they don't, because of the way that they're coming back into this game after the win last week. Texas A&M, however, their 2 losses were to Florida and LSU, both of which play similar styles to what Alabama does. Alabama is a little bit more superior, but A&M, the Aggies hung in both those games. They only lost 20-17 to Florida, 24-19 to LSU. Alabama better be careful. If they don't come out and play this game, I'm going to pick Alabama. I'm going to say the Tide's going to win this, but if they don't come out and play their A football, they could be down early and kind of cause a scare in everybody that votes in BCS. or the computers or whatever. Yeah.
Whoever does that stuff.
I
would actually would say that this will be a tight game for a half, and that'll be attributable to Alabama, coming off a big win that they did. That was a tough game. The temptation maybe not to take A&M quite as seriously. And after that, it didn't get matter because Alabama, the tide will roll in the second half. In this game will probably end the way we would expect it to. We have one more game before we call on our guest who has joined us. This is the game that probably deserves much of the national attention that it's going to get. We have Oregon State visiting Stanford. Carla, what do you got there?
Two teams with a lot of questions at quarterback. This is kind of a crazy one. Stanford benched Josh Nunes last week for Kevin Hogan, and ended up winning the game. But I mean, you kind of felt like the Cardinals were in a bit of disarray heading out of that game. Oregon State, I mean, they were playing great, and then Sean Mannion got hurt, and they played fine without him. They hung on, won games. Mannion comes back, and he's not himself. I mean, it was awful. And so now Cody Vaz, whoever he is, started last week. I
didn't know either.
I had to look it up. I'm like, who's playing quarterback for Arizona or for Oregon State these days? I didn't know. He came in, started against Arizona State. Arizona State's a decent team this year, and won that game, threw for 3 scores. The winner of this game is likely going to be second in the Pac-12 North, behind Oregon, more than likely. So they're playing for a pretty significant bowl game here. And I'm going to say that Oregon's backup quarterback has gotten a little bit more experience than Stanford, so I'm going to lean Oregon State because of that reason, and because their mascot is the Beavers, which was also my high school mascot. Same colors, orange and black. My Corey area high school Beavers in the playoffs this weekend, playing my dad's alma mater of all things, Greenville High School. Yeah, talk about a little family rivalry here.
Wagers? Anything?
Wagers? Not yet. I haven't talked to him lately, I'm sure we'll probably wager something on this.
Okay.
But so I'm going to say for both Oregon State and Corey, go Beavers.
That's a groundhog.
No, it's not. It's a beaver.
Okay, there's the tail. Okay, you got me there. All right.
Say hi, Bucky.
The Oregon State was clearly one of the better teams in the country until just a couple weeks ago when they began having the quarterback problems. And Stanford has not looked the same since they were robbed of their win against Notre Dame. They did look like they were kind of in disarray last week, although managed to pull the game out. I'm really tempted to pick Oregon State on the road here, but I think Stanford is going to collect itself. Home game and work for the big bowl bid. I think the Tree will win this one on Saturday. We have one more game to pick, and let me tell you, I'm able to speak to this just a little bit. 2 years ago, I went to my very first Division III college football game. It was Carnegie Mellon hosting Hiram, and it was a blast. It was awesome, and great football to watch. Different, obviously, than what I'm accustomed to seeing, but it's something that everyone should do. And for crying out loud, if you ever have a chance to go see the biggest little game in America, you should. And that's why we have Draft Day Suit Managing Editor ClumberKim joining us. Kim?
Hi, guys.
D3 games are a little bit outside of our comfort zone.
And I grew up on it.
Okay.
I grew up in Maine near Bates College, and my dad would take me to all the games. So I know a little bit about NESCAC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Explain to us the significance of the Williams-Amherst game, which is coming up on Saturday. This is up in your neck of the woods. This is a really, really big deal.
It is a really big deal. Williams and Amherst have been going at it longer than almost anybody else ever. You probably have the statistics in front of you for that. Williams is many, many years old, 1793, the second college founded in Massachusetts after Harvard.
Okay.
Yeah, it took a long time to convince Massachusetts that they actually needed 2 institutions of higher learning, but they did.
Yeah, that's good.
And Amherst was founded not that long afterwards when somebody felt like Williams wasn't going to survive where they were. So
that was a Williams president, correct?
It was a gentleman by the name of Zephaniah Swift Moore. And
are you allowed to speak his name out loud? Is that okay?
I'm sorry?
Are you allowed to speak his name out loud? Is that?
I am. Okay. He's not like Voldemort.
Okay.
But that is why the Lord Jeffs are known as the defectors of 1821 to those of us Williams faithful. And they started playing football, I guess, not that long after that. So this is a long-standing rivalry. And it was enough to get the attention of ESPN and Game Day a few years back.
2007, I believe.
2007. Thank you. I remember not quite believing it and having to watch it on somebody else recorded it for me. So it really is known as the biggest little game in America. The other thing I can tell you is that I will be watching the game at a bar near my house. And such gatherings are happening in over 50 cities around the world.
Okay, that's very cool.
This is broadcast. They're able to pick up the broadcast a lot easier now than they were the first time I saw it in 1989. On a very large screen, and I swear the guys were bigger on the screen because I still knew some of them. I was not really that tall.
Okay. Now, that's
the thing about Division III. Yeah. They're not that big.
Right. I noticed that when I went to the CMU game a couple years ago.
And they're not there on scholarships either.
Right. This weekend in particular is kind of a special thing going on, correct?
Absolutely. This is the last game to be held at Amherst Pratt Field. And to commemorate the occasion, they've invited captains, all available former captains from both teams to participate in the coin toss. Amherst is desperate to go out of Pratt with a winning record too. They lose this one, and I think it's 28-3 at Pratt Field. So Williams, of course, would like to spoil that for them the way we do.
This sounds like John Cooper trying to win a game against Michigan.
The other thing that's on the line is the very important Little 3 championship.
Correct.
Williams, Amherst, and Wesleyan in Connecticut make up the Little 3. Win the Little 3 and your season is essentially a success.
Okay.
Wesleyan never wins. It's always Williams or Amherst. And Williams and Amherst have both beaten Wesleyan this year, so no chance. It's not going to be a 3-way tie.
Okay.
As sometimes happens. But I mean, if you're at Williams, really, if you beat Amherst, your season is a success. Nobody really cares about Wesleyan. So it's bragging rights for the next year.
Okay. There's our background, Carla. I know you're ready to jump in with the pick here. What you got?
Yes, I'm ready. Okay, so two pieces of information. I actually did my research. I did my homework. Got ready for this game. Williams enters the game at 4-3, but they've won 3 in a row.
Yes.
Amherst enters the game with a better record at 5-2, but they had a major meltdown last weekend in the fourth quarter, giving up 20 points and losing. So they're coming in off of a loss. Williams is coming in after 3 in a row. Amherst won the game last year, and according to the notes provided by Kim's Williams College game notes, athletic department, something like that, Amherst hasn't won back-to-back games in this rivalry since 85-86.
When I was there.
Oh,
sorry, didn't mean to bring up that.
88 button.
There it is.
Nice. There it is. So because they haven't won back-to-back in that long, they're coming in on a roll. Amherst had a meltdown last week. You know what? What the heck? Go Williams.
Carla, I was obviously looking at the same game notes. The thing that caught my attention, and actually the thing that I said about John Cooper and Ohio State versus Michigan is sort of apt here. In every statistical category, Amherst has a better team on paper. Looking at offensive yardage, scoring offense, scoring defense, Amherst leads in every single one of these categories. The thing that jumped out at me, though, it not only has Williams won 3 games in a row this season, they have won the last 3 times this game has been played at Pratt Field. Obviously, this is going to be something that the Amherst, the Lord Jeffs are going to want to win very, very badly. But I have a sense that the Eafs are in the Jeffs' heads, and they're going to win the biggest little game in America on Saturday. Kim, do we need to ask you?
You
for
two
prediction?
are second up to your editor. That's exactly what the two of you are doing.
We've both been in this business for a long time. We know how it works.
I like it. I'm also wearing my Amherst Sucks button, which you can't see, but that I have had in my possession since about 1985. So, yeah, you don't have to ask me.
Okay.
Williams will win this game.
Kim, we really do appreciate you helping us out with this one, and enjoy the game on Saturday. That's going to be a very cool thing to watch.
Go Eafs.
Carla, thank you once again.
As always.
Can we get a big Go Eafs to wrap up the show? 3, 2, 1.
Go Eafs!
Go Eafs! Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week.